welcoming gathering space in the middle. And so that's where, if as an Aboriginal person doing services, you come to this next sort of area through, though it's not separate entrance, through. And then if you've got the program space to one side and so the children's space and things, that the walls could open up. So for community events like the Christmas party and stuff, that gathering space becomes extra area with the kitchen next to it. So you can make the space bigger as Oonah grows. We then talked about the kids space, that there's a place for all our kids for therapy or services, and that space would have an outdoor section to it. So it's indoor, outdoor, it's totally private and confidential, and maybe with the redirection of water that comes through that children's space. So we've got a tactile grounding space for our kids. So we're seeing a paediatrician or something, instead of it being clinical, for those of our stressed and anxious kids, we've got a space that children can feel safe and grounded. And then we also talked about if it was an OT or a therapist like that, that they could also use this space out here and so do their assessments, OT assessments, out in the garden, get our kids outside. We then talked about the importance of women's business and men's business being totally separate entities. So maybe this would have to come from the men. But one of the things that was discussed was, say, a pathway or somewhere where you walk to, say, a pergola or a private space. It's just for men's business, where you can chat, do what men do. That is not a space that's connected for the children and the women. Then the women, there'd be a separate space for them. So if we've got teenage issues or women's business, we have a separate space.
And that the landscape will reflect that.
And the landscape reflects that. So for the men, it might be things that you need for medicines, for spears, for cultural programs. That's sort of dictated through your space, and then again for the women's space. We also talked about the waters and like things like lamandra, which is for weaving, which connects back to Wurundjeri country. That maybe to clean up that sort of area and have things that we use for craft and we use for ceremony. Common reed grows near water. We use that for women's ceremony to make necklaces and things like that for our part of ceremony. So bush tuckery things, different foods for medicine, those sort of things that would be integrated throughout the whole project, but then separate spaces for men and women.
What about the always open and always calm? I thought that was really
good. And that everything's sort of open. We can see outside. We want a zen space that connects us as much as we can to no clinical areas, that's all open. For example, the Christmas party, you open up all the doors like you would at home in a barbecue, and you've got that indoor space with the cafe and the kitchen and seating and food inside, but kids can come in and out. There's a jumping castle or things happening outside, a smoking ceremony over here. So the space becomes an indoor-outdoor space where the doors can open, and that gathering space, when you open up the program areas, it just gives more room for flow of people. And as Oonah expands, because clearly you went from 35 at, what did we say, 35 at the community lunches to already 100. If you provide this awesome space, people will come. So how do you make that space grow utilising the spaces, but also keeping in that the clinical areas, those areas that will be there for private conversations that don't open up at any stage, that stay just totally confidential. If it was elders going to talk, private conversation. Oh, and the other thing we spoke about was if there was maybe a separate entry that was only for, if it's a woman of domestic violence and she don't want to go through the front door, that she can call ahead and have a separate place that she can come into. Could be a man, something's going on, men can have violence in their lives as well. Something traumatic is happening and you don't feel that you can walk past the cafe and into that space, so you can call in and someone will meet you and take you somewhere that then you can get the support you need in a very confidential private space. And the building, all the offices are downstairs because of the lean of the land. If all the offices, then all your office people don't have all of us community in your space all the time you come up to see us. That workings is down below. And then they'd access the actual views from the actual community space and give more outdoor looks instead of roads and things. The outdoor would be back onto the mountains of Mount Riddle and stuff. I think that was it.
That was it.
Did we get it all? Okay.
Well, A lot of it you sort of mentioned with open and outdoor. So if this was is this what we were saying? Indoor would be.
Well, this is so the building here, but like connection out to the ceremonial dancing area, landscape, smoking ceremony, and so on.
Yes, and fire pits and things like that. So it kind of all, the buildings here, and it all kind of flows. So indoor, outdoor sort of thing again, like you spoke of.
We're talking about cultural learning programs,
yes,
particularly talking about your kids, and
yeah, we spoke a lot about having more access to cultural learning, story times, and passing on the generations of basket weaving or making the possum skin cloaks, just for a few examples, and pass these on so children can then teach and that sort of thing.
And there also, which came up quite a bit, and also about trying to read pediatric visit to the kids area, so that about the kid-friendly waiting areas, really.
Yes. Kid waiting areas,
And there was also about the visitation, child protection visitation, a place where that interchange can happen in a really safe way.
That's a great idea.
In a safe space. Yeah.
Something like clinical, like somewhere fun for the kids to be.
Yeah, so that can be like a fun thing that can be looked forward to, not awkward or dreaded or whatever. So we thought that was a really interesting and important point. And so just jumping all over the place here, but that's what this is all about.
Parking.
Yeah, the parking.
When there's big events happening, Christmas parties and all that sort of thing, parking is a real issue. So we thought if they can't find more parking area, maybe having access to the oval so people can park at the oval, and clearing up the river area, and maybe having an extra bridge, because there's one right down here, maybe one more central for us, so they can park there and have access for prams, wheelchairs to be able to come over, just to free up so it's not all out in the streets.
So it could disperse that parking problem by using more areas around, which is really could really help with a problem that obviously we're going to need to solve, and we don't have a direct answer to it yet. So that was really good.
Also, we'd tuck a bag on a Friday to make the access so the trucks can come in, because the trucks can't really get right down. They can reverse down to a certain point, but they can't get any further. So even if they can't organise another place for them to come, have good path access so they can wheel them down, try and make that run a bit smoother, and so people can get the stuff to their car easier as well.
And Jen was talking about classes for within the building, those sorts of, that can just become part of the fabric of the experience. We thought that was really interesting, really good. And this one, fire pit slash.
We talked about the fire pit stage,
and then fireside chats. That could be like a cultural thing that could happen.
For a family night to come down, sit around a fire and hear stories. And because I feel that when you speak and have stories, you learn a lot, and it's just a nice place for families to get together and just chill out and meet new people.
Darren was saying you want the culture, you don't want to hide your culture away, that you actually want to present your culture to Badger Creek Road as well.
So we're thinking about, like on the way in, have a big platypus in the concrete or the footpath, and stuff like that. The dream kind of stuff up on the wall as art in the front of the building or something.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of opportunities throughout and around for that, cultural content, let's call it, to really be part of the experience on a daily basis.
Darren also mentioned something like a plaque or something to represent the Aboriginal people who went to war, because just like a little memorial or something to represent them would be a nice idea to include.
Yeah, so look, I think that's a really good rundown. There was a few other things, but they cross over with what others have spoken about as well, or that we've mentioned. So yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So with the Oonah, they liked about somewhere that they can come every day. It's a safe place. Get rid of the portables. They want a community space, keeping the original building, better parking, and I can't even read my
Tutoring
writing. Services, tutoring services, GP, after school care, leadership group, community for coming elders. So having that training for the up and coming elders of the community. Health of the country, eco building sustainability, the LGBTQI plus FB communities, making sure that we include that into anything, having the clinical room, having bush tucker plants around the building, circular things put around the site, engagement, feel safe, no judgment, sand pit, an area important, catering for everyone's needs, footpath, access for all, so for anybody with disabilities as well, a multi-team for all the ages, multidisciplinary team, a mother support group, interchangeable spaces, healthy relationships for all ages, Wi-Fi access, artifacts around the building, and inactive artifacts around, galleries for local artists to display their work, wall space 2D and floor space for 3D artwork, a gym for all types of exercises, whether it be Waiapa, Pilates, whatever, building, mud bricks integrated into the landscape, women's space and a men's space for men and women's business, having youth work, activities, mentors, advice, specialists for community. So we want to have specialists that can come in more. We have specialists now, but more to do with autism and that sort of thing, and that special needs that we really, a lot of our community members have. Professional training for staff in all the areas of disability.
Next one.
Okay. We want a presence on the road. We want the entrance sign posted well. Each person makes a brick and that goes into the pathways and the organic process to add on. So as new families come to Oonah, they can make their own brick and add that into the path so they feel that connection. Melissa was talking about a decking area, and because the fire pit is so far away,
the deck here with the building there,
to have the fire pit in the middle as a central focus for your smoking ceremonies and everything like that.
With seating around.
Yeah, gathering circle, looking into the building. The fire pit has to be more of the centre place, importance of the fire pit and the smoking ceremonies. We did talk about food bank access again, which the other team had just mentioned, and having access food bank for homeless people, like warm meals and a safe place, and having a place where we can leave blankets and some food for those community members that don't want to be identified and feel a bit shame, that they can come and access that and take it away and do it. A wellness area, nature connection, clean up the creek area here and make that look a little bit better. Outdoor playground based on Indigenous design, playgrounds that made to last, that will grow with the community, that will withstand the environment. So, you know, a lot of playgrounds get built and they look crap after a few years. We don't want that. Aging gracefully, study-based areas, courses. We want courses like trade courses for the young fellas. So, and career advice about, you know, how to get employment. So, opportunities for them to go from their school if they don't go on to TAFE or whatever, they can come here, do a trade and then go into employment and learn all those things. Beauty courses, the importance of running courses at Oonah because it's a safe place and everyone feels welcome. The fuel of the building is more important and the products used are good for the environment. So we really want a sustainable building and all materials that are used to be sustainable. Connection to the outside side, important to have the inside-outside connection. So, so it's not a closed-in area because most of us don't like that. So it invites the outdoor into the indoor space. a place for staff to retreat, a flying fox.
Is that the same thing?
For kids, camping and ballroom.
Staff to retreat.
So that's all. Melissa, was there anything you wanted to add to that?
Well, no, it was just like I was saying, like strong emphasis on the upcoming youth and education.
Yeah, and really focusing on them.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks everyone. That's really incredibly comprehensive and really great to have your input from so many different people, from so many different points of view from the community. And yeah, it's been a really great day. And we've got lots to work with and lots to do. Yeah, so that's a great place for us to start doing that. So what we're going to do is collate all of this information as best as we can, and we've recorded. Some people have said some really, great stuff that they better talking about than writing, or and so we'll listen to those as well, and we'll feed all of this back, to everyone, and yeah, anything that we've got wrong, just feel totally comfortable about correcting us, and yeah, and we'll do, and it's an ongoing conversation. So any further thoughts that you have, just feed them through, and we'll take them on board, and we'll be presenting it all back to everyone in pretty similar kind of a format. I think it's in about 2 months. I don't have the program in front of me, but it's roughly that amount of time.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your input. It was extremely valuable and very energising for us. And we learnt a lot today in a relatively short time.
Yeah.